watching KPIX Channel 5. Now, live Eyewitness News at 10.
A rock and roll send-off for the Democrats' baby boomer ticket. But a few hours earlier, Ross Perot lowered the boom on his supporters, stepping out of the race. Good evening. Perot's out, Clinton's in, and all bets are off. How's that for a wild night of American politics? We'll have more on Perot's announcement not to run in a moment. First, the excitement at tonight's convention. Bill Clinton played his audience well, delivering his fiery acceptance speech, the one that everyone was looking for. Much of it devoted to new generation themes, and it ended with a finale of rock music. Linda Shack wraps up the night.
It had to be the speech of his life, and with millions of Americans watching, Bill Clinton offered the American people what he called a new choice based on old values, what he called a new covenant.
This new covenant simply asks us all to be Americans again. Old-fashioned Americans for a new time. Opportunity, responsibility, community. When we pull together, America will pull ahead.
Earlier, the party formally nominated Al Gore for vice president.
That Albert Gore be nominated by acclamation as the next candidate of the Democratic Party for the vice president of the United States of America. Let's go!
And I accept your nomination for the vice presidency of the United States of America.
And it was Gore who first made the pitch to middle America, with praise for wives, praise for parents, with a father's memories of the day his young son nearly died.
He pulled through, and now, thank God, he has fully recovered and runs and plays and torments his older sisters like any little boy.
But it is Clinton who will probably make or break this ticket, and he presented himself as an agent of change.
Our people are pleading for change, but government is in the way. It's been hijacked by privileged private interests. It's forgotten who really pays the bills around here. It's taken more of your money and giving you less in return. We have got to go beyond the brain-dead politics in Washington and give our people the kind of government they deserve, a government that works for them.
A short film stressed Clinton the family man, a direct attempt to rehabilitate his reputation as father and husband. Hillary Clinton's mother spoke.
I think they deeply love and are committed to one another.
And Clinton went on to offer something for nearly everyone, people he said have been shut out by George Bush.
He won't even implement the recommendations of his own Commission on AIDS, but I will.
And he came back to what is apparently the new theme of the Clinton campaign, the new covenant he's offering the American people.
Every one of you knows deep in your heart that we are too divided. It is time to heal America. This is America. There is no them. There is only us.
Bill Clinton may have had the best show, but Ross Perot delivered the biggest shock of the day. And now that Perot is out of the running, both Clinton and George Bush are wondering how to make the most out of it. Hank Plant is here now with that part of the story. Big surprise.
Very big surprise. Amazing day, Kate. Millions of people stunned by Perot's withdrawal from the race. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the independent candidate from Texas. Sagging polls, bad press, and defections from his own staff all battered him up pretty badly. Ironically, though, none of those was the reason that Perot cited in his announcement today. It was a stunner in Dallas when Perot made his announcement, ending his campaign as abruptly as it began.
I believe it would be disruptive for us to continue our program, since this would obviously put it in the House of Representatives and be disruptive.
It seemed a strange reason to give, since sending the election to the House had been predicted as a victory for Perot. And the obscure reason made the news even harder to take for the millions of Perot volunteers. In Dallas, someone turned on a home video camera and captured the stunned silence. His longtime lawyer, Tom Luce, tried to speak.
Let me say, really hang in there. Okay.
But sadness was only one emotion in the crowd.
I feel betrayed. I think we have been victims of what is probably the greatest political con job.
And in local headquarters like this one in San Jose, the disbelief bordered on denial.
We're not going to let him off the hook that easily.
Naturally, it didn't take long for the two remaining candidates to reach out to the millions of Perot voters. George Bush was supposed to be fishing, and in a way he was.
I told him that, of course, I would welcome his support and the support of those who have gotten behind him. We share the same principles.
And Bill Clinton interrupted his finest hour, his acceptance speech, to do some fishing of his own.
I am well aware that all those millions of people who rallied to Ross Perot's cause wanted to be in an army of patriots for change. Tonight I say to them, join us, and together we will revitalize America.
While in Dallas, Perot's disintegrating team appealed to the volunteers to stay involved.
But I hope that the millions and millions of people who supported him don't lose faith in the political process.
He's had a very positive impact on our system.
And so the campaign that began on a talk show that grew to grassroots rallies and starred a folksy outsider ended not with a bang, but a whimper. And the businessman behind it all made a very businesslike decision and cut his losses. And joining us now to make sense of today's stunning developments is Professor Bruce Kane from UC Berkeley's Political Science Department. Thanks for being with us, Professor Kane. First question, obvious question, who benefits most from Perot's dropping out, Bush or Clinton?
Well, in the short run, I think Bush is the beneficiary of this decision by Perot. The Republicans, when Perot was in the race, had to fight a war on two fronts. They had to go after Clinton and they had to go after Perot simultaneously, and this is not a situation that they were used to being in. With Perot now out of the equation, they can go back to a strategy that's worked very well for them in the 1980s and 1970s.
Which is to beat up the Democrat, right?
Beat up the Democrats, exactly, on issues that they're very familiar with, crime, taxes, and the economy.
And maybe a few new ones that they haven't had to use in the past, like the so-called character issue, whatever. Bruce, so what do you make of Perot's reasons for dropping out? What's your sense of why he's not in this race? You know, he gave that reason that he didn't want to throw it into the House of Representatives. Does that make sense to you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think he's a hard-headed businessman. He looked at it, and he saw it wasn't a good investment. The odds of his winning were very low. He couldn't get a majority of the Electoral College. He saw that if it went into the House of Representatives, he was unlikely to be the choice. It was costing him a lot of money, and moreover, he wasn't having any fun, so he was paying to be miserable, and I don't think he wanted to do it much longer.
Yeah. Can Bush or Clinton pick up the Perot supporters? Where will they go?
They can do it, but some of them will go to neither candidate. But I think it's possible for Bush to get back some of the conservative Perot supporters by reminding them of his record on conservative issues or on abortion or on the management of the economy. I think similarly Clinton can try to appeal to the more liberal end of the Perot supporters. But I think we have to expect that some of these Perot supporters will either sit on the sidelines or will do write-in ballots or vote for other kinds of candidates.
You think Perot is going to endorse either Bush or Clinton? He gave kind of a tacit smile toward the Democrats today.
He may not go any further than a tacit endorsement. I mean, he may become like a Mario Cuomo figure. That is, he's formally pulled out, but he'll sort of make signs as though he wants to be brought back in, or he may just enjoy being wooed by both candidates but committing to neither. I think he probably won't go any further than what he said today, which, as you said, was a kind of implied endorsement.
All right, Bruce Kane, really appreciate your talking with us tonight. UC Berkeley political science expert. One final note is that the lingering question, of course, is will Perot be on the ballot this fall? The answer, we don't know. Even though millions of petitions were turned in here in California and elsewhere, Perot's electors would have to file papers by August 7th to get his name right on the ballot, so it's up to them whether that happens or not.
Yeah, some of those supporters sound like they were not ready to give up either.
They're hanging in.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Hank. And later in the newscast, Ana Chavez will be here with highlights from tonight's speeches, unedited. And you'll hear Ross Perot's stunning announcement in its entirety. That's later on Eyewitness News at 10 o'clock.
16 days and still no state budget, but a committee in Sacramento will have a new compromise to look over tomorrow. Two lawmakers, a Republican and a Democrat, drew up the $56 billion plan. It shrinks state government and it raids local funds. But it gives more to schools than Governor Wilson wants, cutting only $1.1 billion from the education budget. The proposal also holds back another $1 billion from local government, and it takes $500 million from the state's emergency reserve. A new Channel 5 poll just out tonight shows how angry people are about the budget mess. 3 out of 4 voters rate the legislators' job performance as poor. When it comes to laying blame, 6% say it's Wilson's fault, 21% point to the legislature, but most, 2/3, blame both sides for the budget mess.
Just ahead on Eyewitness News, a hit and run in the East Bay. A 5-year-old is in critical condition and the driver was beaten by angry residents. Plus, looters arrested during the Rodney King riot cry racism. Prosecutors say it's justice. You'll hear both sides.
You're watching Dave McElhatton and Kate Kelly.
2 bedside vigils at 2 East Bay hospitals tonight as a little boy and the driver accused of running him down both cling to life. Now, the driver wasn't injured in the accident, but as Sherry Hu reports, the people of the Richmond neighborhood simply exploded in anger and nearly beat him to death.
As Vincent Clemens crossed the street on the big wheel tricycle, Richmond police say he was probably no higher than a car's bumper. Officers say as the Oldsmobile turned the corner, the car hit the 5-year-old, dragging him 100 feet. It's possible the driver didn't even see the boy, but neighbors apparently didn't care.
When he jumped out the car, he looked underneath the car and he seen the boy and he jumped out and he just hollered. He was frantic. And some other guys started beating him up. It was terrible.
There was no purpose of it, you know, because the little guy still got hit. But I guess it kind of made them feel good of taking some kind of type justice, you know, by jumping on the guy.
People who live here say the frustration's been growing. Complaints about speeding cars have apparently been ignored by city officials. The neighborhood's usually crowded with lots of children. There's a park on one corner, a preschool on another. Neighbors say it's no surprise a child became a victim today.
Some of the young fellas, I guess it's young fellas, go squirreling around the corner, squealing their tires, driving real fast, and it's a wonder that children haven't been hit before.
Yet in this accident, police say there are no skid marks, and they don't know how fast the driver was going.
Little Vincent was airlifted to Children's Hospital here in Oakland. The driver was taken to John Muir and Walnut Creek. Meanwhile, police are still at the scene trying to figure out who, if anyone, is at fault.
There was no purpose of it, you know, because the little guy still got hit. But I guess it kind of made them feel good of taking some kind of vigilante type justice, you know, by jumping on the guy.
This was a bad tragedy, and I hope and pray that the boy will be okay.
So for now, many neighbors are just worried about the little boy. But next, they're going to be mad and demand the city do something to stop the speeders. In Richmond, Sherry Hu, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
And late this evening, Richmond police announced the driver has been arrested on DUI charges. As far as the people who beat him, police still don't know who they are or whether they'll be charged.
Police in Orange County arrested Rodney King last night for drunk driving. They let him go after 5 hours in custody. This is the 3rd time King has been arrested since his infamous beating by Los Angeles police officers. His lawyer says King is suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. Reactions to last May's Rodney King verdict range from rhetoric to rioting. In San Francisco, there was looting and hundreds of people were arrested. Most were let go, but many are still waiting trial. The San Francisco Human Rights Commission met with District Attorney Arlo Smith today, trying to convince him to reconsider those charges. Here's why. Close to 2,000 people were arrested. About 15% of them were black. But of the 105 who have been charged with criminal violations, 75% are black. Reed Galen tells us what some call justice, others are calling racism.
How important should larger societal issues be when it comes time to sentence an individual defendant? In the wake of the King verdict riots in Los Angeles and San Francisco, prosecutors in both cities are demanding maximum penalties for looters. Actually, defendants are not charged with looting because technically there is no such crime. And this is not just a matter of semantics to a defendant. Things were pretty turned around that night in San Francisco, but Susan says she wasn't part of the demonstrations, the vandalism, violence, and looting. Or at least she didn't think so.
Walking down the street, and there was a bunch of T-shirts laying on the ground by a tree. I really wasn't thinking about it. I just picked it up. The next thing I know, the police officer slammed me down on the ground, and I said, here.
It was an $18 T-shirt. She has no criminal record. Under normal circumstances, such a suspect would likely have been charged with petty theft, if anything, cited and immediately released on his or her own recognizance. But these were not normal circumstances.
They've been looting it all afternoon and sometimes arguing with each other over what merchandise they're going to take.
These cases are more serious than the typical everyday petty theft or everyday commercial burglary. Law and order is broken down, so it's a serious threat to the community.
Look at that. I regret doing it now since it's going this far.
Susan, not her real name, was charged with receiving stolen property, a felony with a possible 16-month sentence in state prison. She spent a day and a half in jail until a bondsman posted her $10,000 bail. He was paid $1,000 by her family.
They had to borrow from this person and that person and that.
Of more than 100 suspected looters in San Francisco, about half have no criminal record. District Attorney Arlo Smith's prosecutors have taken a very hard line, initially leveling felony as opposed to misdemeanor charges, insisting on jail or prison time in plea bargains. And L.A. District Attorney Ira Reiner's office has done the same.
Healing begins with justice.
There was not a particularly great amount of sympathy for the people that were charged in these cases. So it's kind of a fertile political field for a prosecutor to get into.
Not just criminal justice that's at work here?
Let's put it this way. Prosecutors up and down this state are elected.
I don't think it's political to say that the looting was wrong, the looting is serious, and we intend to prosecute them vigorously and treat them seriously.
Realize I'm not bound by this plea bargain.
Judges have the option, and sometimes are, issuing sentences less than prosecutors have asked for. But they cannot arbitrarily reduce the charge itself.
Cases perhaps take a little longer. The damage is honesty in government.
I won't pick up another T-shirt like that again.
In the end, a defendant like Susan probably won't go to state prison, but it has cost her more to fight this charge and taken more time and uncertainty out of her life than if she had been charged outside of a riot and perhaps agreed to community service in return for a clean record.
I don't want a record. If they making me go through all this for a T-shirt, and there's more people out there doing worse stuff than stealing a T-shirt, and they're not pressing that issue as hard as they're pressing this issue.
Beyond first offenders, those with any previous record are also being dealt with more aggressively than would be otherwise. Maybe you think the very frightening anarchy in which these crimes occurred is an important additional mark against the defendants. Or maybe you think that someone who allows themselves to be swept up in the moment should get more of a break. But either way, it's clear that justice is not blind to the societal issues these cases raise. I'm Reed Galen.
District Attorney Arlo Smith wouldn't comment on the matter, but one of the human rights commissioners who met with him today said the district attorney listened intently and said he is willing to look into the cases again.
And coming up on Eyewitness News, Perot supporters are stunned but not at a loss for words. Hear what they have to say about today's bombshell.
And if the weather feels like something you'd experience in the Midwest, there's a reason. Brian Sussman will tell you why.
Eyewitness News continues with Brian Sussman and the weather.
This was a home in northwestern Ohio. It was blown apart by a tornado earlier this week, but look what was found today 20 miles away. A personal check from the family desk. Still not recovered, a single stone from the smashed chimney. In the meantime, storms brewing throughout California tonight. Thunderstorms heavy at times from Mount Lassen through the Tahoe region down to Yosemite. Lightning, hail, very strong winds, very heavy downpours. We will continue to see heavy thunderstorms brewing in the mountains of northern and central California for the next several afternoons and evenings, and there's still the outside possibility that an isolated shower could pop up here in the Bay Area tomorrow, maybe on Saturday as well. In the meantime, off the coast of Mexico, Hurricane Frank and Georgette. Frank and Georgette will provide some warm, humid, and unstable air into our region come about Sunday. In the meantime, the forecast Friday and Saturday for the Bay Area, mostly sunny skies, some areas of stubborn coastal cloudiness, 70 at the coast to near 90 degrees inland, and then watch out for that instability from Georgette off the coast of Mexico. And finally tonight, the cable car bell ringing prelims took place tonight in San Francisco. Always a great time. If you want to see the finals, they'll go down next Thursday at noon at Union Square. Well, for the past couple of weeks on our 10 o'clock broadcast, we've brought you a feature we call Brian's Kids. It's a campaign to find parents for children in the foster care system. It's run for 2 years on our noon and 5 o'clock newscast with great success thanks to you. So far, we've aired 63 children. Of those, 30% have already been adopted by KPIX viewers, and an additional 50% are in the process of being adopted. It's just a matter of paperwork. Now, tonight, we'd like to introduce you to a success story of ours on the Brian's Kids program. I'd like to introduce you to the Coleman family. We first introduced you to Donnie in September of 1991. She was a drug-exposed baby who was abandoned at birth. She lived with foster parents for 3 years, but last fall, Donnie needed to find a permanent family. That's when she appeared on Brian's Kids. 6 months later, she found one with Brenda and Charles Coleman. Donnie has been adopted. What has been the greatest joy in terms of having Denisha as your daughter?
Hearing her call me Mommy. And her running into my arms and kissing me and hugging me and telling me she missed me during the day.
Brenda said she had been missing something in her life. She didn't know what until she received a phone call from her mother-in-law.
There's this pretty little girl on TV, and she said, "You can call and adopt her." And so I called, and they hooked us up with United Way, and the ball started rolling.
That ball rolled Donnie's way, and she's been a part of the Coleman family since March. What's it feel like to be a dad?
Feels good. Feels really good.
But it might not have happened if Brenda did not see a needy child on television. Mary Horvers is a social worker in San Francisco, and she relies on the Brian's Kids campaign.
In fact, for some of the kids that I'm putting on TV, it's our major recruitment tool. It's the best tool we've got because we don't have big budgets.
No money to make matches. It's a problem plaguing every Bay Area county. That's where Brian's Kids comes in, to get the word out about children like Donnie. And success stories are happening all around the Bay Area thanks to KPIX viewers who have put aside their fears and made the call to the United Way.
The phone call's the easiest thing you can do. We want to talk to you. You know, we're human beings. We're interested in finding homes for kids. We'll discuss your fears.
And here's the number to call, the United Way helpline, 772-HELP. It's the phone number we bring you every week. It's the number that changed the Coleman family forever.
Mommy.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Why you have a microphone on?
See the camera there? They're talking to us. They want to know how you feel about things. How do you feel?
What a cutie. Again, that number, United Way helpline, 415-772-HELP. People are staffing that number tomorrow. So tonight you can leave a message or else call tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 7 o'clock.
Bill Clinton's star rises on a July night in New York. And in Dallas, Ross Perot suddenly drops out. Proves in American politics money alone cannot keep a presidential candidate running. The delegates shouted for Bill Clinton from the convention floor, and they got him. For nearly an hour, he stressed issues like unity, equality, and the economy. And running mate Al Gore delivered an emotional address attacking George Bush and praising Clinton. Ana Chavez is here now with selections from both speeches. Ana?
Well, Kate, tonight's Democratic convention show, and it was a well-produced show, began with a roar and a cheer when the convention proclaimed Al Gore as the vice presidential nominee. And then the two men who are the hope of their party took a big red, white, and blue Democratic bow and tied it around family values and hope for America.
Senator Al Gore is nominated vice president for the Democratic Party.
In every American, no matter how badly betrayed or poorly led, there is always hope. Even now, if you listen, you can hear the pulse of America's true spirit. No, the American spirit isn't gone, but we vow here tonight that in November, George Bush and Dan Quayle will be history. They have ignored the suffering of those who are victims of AIDS, of crime, of poverty, of ignorance, of hatred and harassment. It is time for them to go. They have mortgaged our children's future to avoid the decisions they lack the courage to make. It is time for them to go. They embarrassed our nation when the whole world was asking for American leadership in confronting the environmental crisis. It is time for them to go. They have demeaned our democracy with the politics of distraction, denial, and despair. What time is it? What time is it?
But the new covenant is about more than opportunities and responsibilities for you and your families. It's also about our common community. Tonight, every one of you knows deep in your heart that we are too divided. It is time to heal America. And so we must say to every American, look beyond the stereotypes that blind us. We need each other. All of us, we need each other. We don't have a person to waste. And yet, for too long, politicians have told the most of us that are doing all right that what's really wrong with America is the rest of us. Them, the minorities, them, the liberals, them, the poor, them, the homeless, them, the people with disabilities, them, the gays. We've gotten to where we've nearly themmed ourselves to death. Them and them and them. But this is America. There is no them. There is only us. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the way, earlier this evening, the Pledge of Allegiance was led by William Figueroa. You'll remember him. He's the 6th grader who added an errant E to the word potato during a spelling bee with Vice President Dan Quayle. In every way, Democrats are showing no stone will be left unturned in 1992.
All right, thanks a lot, Anna.
Clinton and Gore may have gotten most of the attention tonight at the convention, but throughout the day, the headlines have focused on Ross Perot's decision to drop out of the presidential race. Tonight, a look behind the headlines. We begin with Perot's reason for not running, unedited in his own words.
Our objective is to improve our country, not disrupt the political process. We have said among ourselves and publicly that we must win in November. We must win a majority of the electoral votes. As you know, if we cannot win in November, the election will be decided in the House of Representatives. And since the House of Representatives is made up primarily of Democrats and Republicans, our chances of winning would be pretty slim. Now that the Democratic Party has revitalized itself, I have concluded that we cannot win in November and that the election will be decided in the House of Representatives. Since the House of Representatives does not pick the president until January, the new president will be unable to use the months of November and December to assemble the new government. I believe it would be disruptive for us to continue our program, since this would obviously put it in the House of Representatives and be disruptive to the country. In the states, so therefore I will not become a candidate.
It's an absolute shock. We cannot believe that Mr. Perot has said that he will drop out of the race. We are absolutely stunned. He cannot leave. He cannot leave. We absolutely, Mr. Perot, please, we absolutely need you.
I cast my delegate vote for Mr. Perot, and now I feel like I've been totally lied to and my vote was wasted.
In the states where petitions have not yet been turned in, I urge the volunteers to turn them in so that both parties can know exactly who the people are who are so concerned about their country's future. If the petitions are turned in, both parties will continue to give a great deal of attention to the concerns of these fine people, and this is good for the country.
I'm almost near the point of tears because here was a man in this day and age that me as an American and a black American could believe it, and now it's all over.
For all the volunteers, I'll always look back on this with the fondest of memories, and my memories will be focused on you and your greatness because you are America.
I just hope that the 4 million plus volunteers that are working for Perot now don't become discouraged and give up. We've got to pull together. Mr. Perot was our standard bearer, but he was not the strength of our movement. We are the strength.
You said early on that it was up to the people to decide whether you ran for president or not. And now you seem to be making that decision yourself. Shouldn't you have let this run its course once you started in? I mean, 33 states have already turned in petitions. Don't you have an obligation?
Now, I have an obligation to do the right thing.
We got a class action lawsuit against your ass. There's a lot of people put a lot of time, effort, money. I can't even tell you how much time and how much effort everybody put in. People all over the United States went, bought T-shirts, fake T-shirts, and what happened? We're stuck with inventory, and who the hell did care? He's gonna sit back in Dallas?
Has it been worth it to you?
Absolutely, yes. Being with the volunteers, being with all these wonderful people that make the world go, seeing how much they love their country, seeing how much they want to keep the American dream alive. All of that spirit is the spirit of 76 is still alive.
The common thread that I've seen through the volunteers is that I'm back in and I'm in to stay. You know, if nothing else, Ross Perot showed us that we can, as a group, make a difference.
Ross Perot's campaign may be history, but he's left more behind than memories. In fact, a whole warehouse full in Milpitas, we found hundreds of Ross Perot T-shirts, Ross Perot hats, and Ross Perot buttons. Kind of the political version of a Ross Dress for Less store.
Well, the party's over for the Democrats, but the Republicans will meet next month to throw their share of confetti. They'll formally nominate George Bush and Dan Quayle on August 17th in Houston. And of course, Channel 5 will bring you all the highlights. We'll be right back. An Oakland woman is alive tonight thanks to the kindness and courage of a man from Hayward. He came to her rescue when she fell under a BART train. But Robert Honda tells us the hero doesn't think he's very heroic.
There is usually always activity around BART stations, most of it minor incidents such as this respirator call. But at this San Leandro BART station Wednesday morning, a woman either fell or jumped into the path of a train. As you might expect, most of the people there did not know what to do, and the paramedics were still on the way. But Zake Robinson of Hayward jumped onto the tracks to help.
Heck, I kind of hesitated for a minute because I don't know what I seen. It kind of looks sort of bad looking. But she was alive, so I kind of stopped the bleeding best I could.
How'd you do that?
Well, I took off my lab coat and just applied pressure to the leg, you know.
Was she saying anything to you during that time?
No, she wasn't. Then when I started to arouse her, you know, she was saying, help me, you know. I told her I wouldn't leave her.
But here at Humana Hospital in San Leandro, where Robinson works part-time as a respirational therapist, his fellow workers do consider him a hero. But Robinson says he's just like a lot of other people, trying to raise a family and deal with the ups and downs of the economy, and says even though a lot of people didn't help this time, he believes most people would jump in just like he did.
We have heroes every day, you know. Yeah, I don't look at it as being a hero. I think anybody would have done it.
BART resumed service after a short delay, and Robinson is back to work at his hospital, while the woman he helped is still at Eden Hospital in critical condition. It will be some time before she can talk to police about what happened or to the man who saved her. In San Leandro, Robert Honda, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Well, the woman Robinson rescued was able to talk to BART investigators today, and she said she was not pushed. Instead, she says she became dizzy, felt sick, and fell onto the tracks.
No gays in the kitchen, at least not in Julia Child's kitchen. A lawsuit charges the cooking star with discrimination. We'll tell you how the matter was settled coming up on Eyewitness News.
Actor Charlton Heston had some unusual lines to read in Beverly Hills today. The lyrics from the rap album Body Count. That story tops our News About People tonight. Heston read the lyrics to other protesters outside the Time Warner shareholders meeting. Heston and the other protesters want Time Warner to pull that album from distribution. They say it celebrates the murder of police officers. So far, Time Warner has refused that demand. And the great lady of gourmet cooking is in the news as well tonight. Julia Child has reached a settlement in a lawsuit against her. The suit alleged that Child refused to allow Daniel Coulter of San Francisco to head her food institute simply because he is gay. Original terms of the suit, $3 million, but no word on the actual out-of-court settlement.
The Emmy nominations are out tonight, and Rob Morrow and the whole Northern Exposure gang have grabbed the lion's share. Morrow was nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, and the show picked up 15 other nominations, more than any other program. Among the other nominations, Roseanne Arnold gets her first for Outstanding Lead Comedy Actress, nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series, Murphy Brown, Home Improvement, Brooklyn Bridge, and Cheers.
Joe Fonzi's here now. What's coming up?
Well, the A's and Giants both trying to get off to a good start in the second half of the baseball season. We'll show you how they did. Take a look at the rest of the day's sports when we come back.
That'll make a difference to Ben and Matt Williams. Smuggers at 100 just
now, Eyewitness News continues with Joe Fonzi and sports.
Kelly Downs was truly a giant in an A's uniform tonight, and Oakland began the traditional second half of the season the same way it ended the first half, with a shutout. Downs held Detroit hitless until the sixth inning. He fans another former Giant, Dan Gladden. Downs went 7+ innings, allowing just 2 hits. Ricky Henderson and Jose Canseco came off the disabled list. Ricky touched Frank Tanana for a home run in the first inning. That's an ongoing Major League record. 52 leadoff home runs for Henderson in his career. The Athletics scored 3 times in the first inning. One here as Tony Phillips misplays Terry Steinbach's ground ball. Oakland goes on to win 4-0 for its 4th straight victory. A's pitchers have allowed just 2 runs in those 4 wins. The bad news is the Minnesota Twins continue to hang tough at the top of the division. The Twins were 7-6 winners over Boston, keeping the A's 2 games down. Nolan Ryan won number 318 of his career as Texas beat the Orioles. The White Sox got one in the 12th to edge Milwaukee. It was Kansas City beating the Indians. Toronto won big over the Mariners, and the Angels got one in the 9th to edge the Yankees. The Giants are trying to prove June was an aberration in a season that saw them in first place before the dawning of that month. Tonight in New York, Willie McGee sent this ball into the gap in left center off the Mets' Dwight Gooden. The question was, could Bud Black score from first? He staggers in for a 3-1 Giant lead. This was part of a 3-run fourth inning. The other 2 runs were provided by Robbie Thompson, who went deep off reliever Tom Filer to make it 5-1. Black would improve his record to 8-2. He's 4-0 lifetime against New York. Black would allow 1 run in the 5th, but the damage could have been worse if he hadn't induced Willie Randolph to bounce into a 5-4-3 double play. 6-4 the final as Rod Beck picks up his 9th save. Well, it's a long road back, but the Giants have moved to within 7.5 of the division-leading Reds after Cincinnati fell to the Cardinals 5-1. The Braves are just 1 game out after downing Houston. Ken Hill won his 10th as Montreal beat the Padres. The Dodgers handed the Phillies their 9th straight loss, and the Pirates were 2-1 winners over the Cubs. The quarterback-rich 49er training camp officially opened today in Rockland. Here's the one everyone wants to know about. During the periods in which he threw, Joe Montana seemed to be crisp with his passes and showing no ill effects from the elbow surgery that kept him out of the entire 1991 season.
It was the first day that we're trying to keep the number of throws down, so it's kind of hard backing out of some of the periods. But actually, after we get through the initial warm-up, it's pretty easy to get through.
Tighten up at all? Or?
No, not at all.
So the ice is just a perfect thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The minute I'm done, Lindsey's standing there when he got something for you.
Lindsey McLean will also be taking care of Steve Young's arm. Young back in the number 2 role right now. And the 49er story of 91, Steve Bono figures to do a lot of clipboard carrying if everyone stays healthy and no trade is made. Football tonight mourning the loss of one of its Hall of Famers. Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle Buck Buchanan died today at the age of 51. Buchanan, who at 6'8", 300 pounds, was the biggest player of his era, had battled lung cancer for 2 years. Americans Steve Pate and Raymond Floyd share the first-round lead in the British Open at Muirfield. The 49-year-old Floyd nails this putt. He and Pate shot 7 under par 64s. Ian Woosnam and Gordon Brand Jr. fired 65s. Paul McGinley is a dozen shots off the pace, but that total would have been 1 or 2 more had not McGinley made this ace at 7. Also today, Nick Faldo carded to 66, Lee Trevino a 69, and 1992's major champions Fred Couples and Tom Kite turned in 1 under par 70s. And that's sports, so it is now time for me to go.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Sure.
And that's the news tonight. I'm Kate Kelly.
And I'm Dave McElhatton. As we say goodnight, as it's time for us to go, we leave you with images from the Democratic National Convention tonight in New York. Good night and good luck from all of us at Eyewitness News.